All right, we are finally back to building stuff in our shop. Do you need a workbench? Because we do, so let's get after this build. All right, so first thing we're gonna do is we're gonna get all of our material cut down to length. This is going to be the material we're using for our frame. Now I'm making my frame out of standard 2x4s from the big box store. These are what Home Depot calls whitewood, but they are extremely durable when we put them together the way we're going to. Basically, we're going to come back over here to the table saw. We're going to take these rounded corners off so we've got a nice flat edge on both sides. Going to rip these down to 3-inch widths so that when we stack two of these together, glue them, they're going to become one piece, which is going to wind up being 3x3, which is almost equivalent to a 4x4. Entire frame is going to be made out of this. So the first thing we're going to do, cut everything to length. You're going to see me down on the ground doing this because the whole purpose of this video is to build my workbench, which I don't have. So we're going to be doing a lot of cutting on the miter saw down on the ground.
On the floor? She on the floor.
Once that's all done, we're going to bring all that material back over here to the table saw, rip these edges up, and we can get everything glued and screwed together and get this assembly going. So let's go. All right, preparation to getting everything cut to the proper length is key. And I don't have my miter station set up quite yet. If I did, I would utilize a stop block. You need to make sure all of your material is cut to a very uniform length. So in order to do that without having a stop block, I'm simply clamping multiple pieces of material together here. And by clamping them together, taking off one end, getting rid of the staples and tags, and cleaning up, squaring off these factory ends, I'm able to take those clamped groups of material together, flip them around, and make sure that all of my pieces are exactly the same length. Taking the time to prep everything up front like this, getting everything cut to the same length, width, and thickness is going to help square things up when you get this thing assembled. It's going to save you a lot of headaches in the end, trying to pull your workbench back into square, getting your corners squared up. And when we go to slide in our drawer assembly, we are going to need that compartment that we're building in the middle to be square. So this is going to help. All right, so the first thing we need to do now that we've got everything cut to size is we're going to take off this edge right here. We're going to take off this radius. Now I have my saw set up with the feather board in place. My blade is set up to rip off just the slightest amount right here. We want to just get to the square part of this board. Then we can adjust our fence to 3 inches, which is what we want our final dimensions to be, so that each one of these components that we're gluing and screwing together are going to be 3x3. So we're going to rip off this edge on all of these pieces. Then we're going to move our fence over to 3 inches, rip everything to final width. So we got a lot of stuff to get ripped down, so let's go. Okay, so I am ripping off a very thin strip. I don't know if you can tell right here because it's sped up so much, but it is paper thin. I want my second rip cut when I flip these over to be as thick as possible. And right here you can see this thing is 1/4 to 3/8 of an inch thick. And the reason I do this is I'm already out in the shop ripping this material down, and we use these slats for other projects. You can build crates out of these. I have made a barbecue utensil and condiment set using these, and my wife likes using them for scraps. So cut off as little as possible on your first cut. It's going to give you a bigger slat that you can use on other projects when you flip it around. All right, so as you can see, all of our material is cut down to length and width. And before you say anything, yes, I'm actually up on my table saw with a piece of plywood right now because I don't have a workbench yet. That's the whole purpose of this video. So I'm making do with what I'm making do with. And let me tell you why I need a workbench. Let me show you something real quick. This right here, I have yet to go through. I have got to get all of this stuff up and ready to go so I can actually get back out in my shop and start making some stuff. So first thing we need to do, we have 4 legs we need to get put together, and then we have 4 horizontal braces that are going to be top and bottom of the front and back of the workbench, kind of like the picture right here. I'll pop this up as much as I can to show you guys where we're at. So leg assemblies, we're going to make a half lap joint at the top by putting our shorter board in the front. When our other assembly
gets mounted onto this. It will create this half lap. Half lap joints are strong, number one. Number two, they're easy to do when you are doing two 2x4s together like this. If you wanted to use a 4x4, you could absolutely notch this out on your table saw, or run your circular saw across it, hammer and chisel, smooth it out. But we're using two 2x4s together. Easiest way to make a half lap is what we're doing right now. So what we're going to do is, I have this spare piece. This is also cut to the same dimensions as all of this material. I'm just going to use this as a spacer to know how far down this component needs to be mounted on my leg. And they are going to just line this portion up with the top. Then we're going to take this piece right here. I'm going to pre-drill. I'm going to drive 2 screws in this while the glue is setting up. I am going to clamp everything, then the screws are going to come out. This part of the workbench is going to be painted, so all of our holes and everything can easily get patched up and painted over. So if you want to stain yours or leave it natural, just clamp these up, skip the screw part. I'm simply doing it to help hold this together while I prep the other 3 pieces and then get my clamps out. So let's get this thing glued up, screwed in, and clamped. Let's go.
Even though this particular portion of my workbench is going to get painted, I am making sure that I drive my screws in to hold this stuff together from the back side. Whether I leave the screws in or pull them out, I'm going to have to patch over them, sand it smooth before I paint, and I would just rather all of that stuff be on the back side of the workbench. So if you're going to do it this way, just make sure you drive your screws in from the back. Also, while we're doing this assembly real quick, clamping this stuff up, make sure you subscribe, leave us a comment down below, give us a thumbs up for this video. It really helps the algorithm. Appreciate each and every one of you guys.
All right, we're gonna let these rest for a couple hours. While these are resting, I'm also going to put together the front and the rear assemblies. Those will be ready when we come back from glue up, and let me show you real quick how those are gonna go together. Basically are going to go together the same way. We are going to create a half lap on either end of this particular board, and we're simply going to use our spacer, space this in the correct amount, mark, glue, and when this assembly is done, let me scoot back so you guys can see. When this assembly is done, this is going to mount on the front and the back, top and bottom, to finish out our frame. So I'm going to put these together, let that glue dry, and I'll catch you guys in a few minutes. All right, all of our pieces are glued up, out of the clamps, dry, ready for cleanup. Now, when I clamp my stuff, I wipe it down with a wet rag. That leaves me very little residue once these pieces are dried up. Some people like to just do their glue up, clamp everything down, and then scrape at the end. I like to wipe it down and then sand. So that's what's next. We got all these pieces to sand. We're just going to run a 120 grit with my orbital sander over each edge, just basically to remove this residue that's here. Once all of this sanding is done, it's assembly time. So let's go. All right, we are back down on the ground again because I don't have a workbench. That's what we're building. And this is the way this is going to go together. We created these lap joints here on the end, and our laps are going to sit right on top. Once this is glued and screwed together, this is going to form a really good, solid joint. We've got 2 of these assemblies to make, which is going to consist of 2 of our legs, 2 of our horizontal pieces. Once these are screwed together, I'm going to check for square. If they're not square, I will pull them into square with a clamp. Let these things dry, and then we can get our braces going from the front to the back of this assembly put together. So let's get after this. And I am screwing in from the back side of this assembly so that when this is all put together, you won't see these screws. Some of these screws will be staying in because you won't see them. These two in each of these joints, those are going to stay. So let's go. All right, we are almost done. Last thing we need to do is we need 2 pocket holes on either end of all of our braces that are going across. I am going to install 4 across the top, 6 across the bottom, and when we put it together, we'll see why there's 6. We need some extra support on the ends of the bottom portion of our bench, because when we slide in our boxes that are going to house our drawer systems and cabinets on the other side, that drawer needs something to rest on that's nice and stable. So 10 of these, 4 on top, 6 on the bottom, pocket holes on either end. Not going to show you drilling pocket holes in every single board. It's kind of boring, like sanding. So we're going to speed it up. Let's go. That's all we got. 9 more to go. I'll catch you guys in a minute.
Time to go to work.
All right, it is now time for us to get our pieces on that connect. I'm going to get this installed, and when we flip this over, you'll see why we're doing 2 extra boards on our bottom section. Again, I need some stability for the cabinetry that's going to go in here. So I'm going to measure this out. I'm basically just going to come in what kind of looks like about an eyeball. I'm going to put a mark on equal distance from both ends. And this is where my 2 inner boards are going to go. And then we're going to have 2 outer boards. It's going to give us 4 2x4s to rest our cabinetry on, screw into, and that'll help stabilize the whole workbench. So let me get this marked out. I am going to glue and pocket hole these into place. They're basically going to run just like this across here. I just want to make sure that the side that's on the underside right now, which will become the top once this is flipped over, is flush. I'm going to use some Craig pocket hole clamps to hold this in place, glue it up, screw it, and I am using blue epoxy coated pocket hole screws. This is out in my shop. Yes, the garage door is closed most of the time, but I do live about 18 miles from the coast in Texas. It is not only extremely hot here, it is extremely humid, so I'm going to cover my ass, use the blue epoxy coated screws because I've got them. So let's get this stuff installed, and when I flip it over, you will see why we put those extra boards on there. Let's do. All right, slight change of plans. So because of the distance between here and where the pocket hole is, this Craig clamp is not long enough to get in there. Once I screw something in, I can't pull this out of the pocket hole. So we're going to attack this a little bit different. I'm just going to put one of these blocks, I'll put it in this one so you guys can see. Right here, we're going to clamp this in place, and then we'll be able to rest our brace on top of this and line it up. So we're just going to put this right in line with this. Make sure that it's square. Then we can set our cross pieces on top of this. So, little change of plans. Things happen. I make mistakes out here in the shop, and I'm sure you guys like watching other people make mistakes. So I'll leave this in the video for you. So now that these are in place, this gives me something to rest this brace on. And now I can go ahead and pocket hold that into place, and it's nice and lined up with this other brace here. So let's get these glued and screwed, work our way back down, and then we'll flip this thing over and get the top ones put in. All right, so this right here, this extra piece that we're putting on the bottom that we won't be putting on the top, that's for when our cabinetry slides in. It needs something to rest on so that it's not supported by just the two in the center right here. We need something here so we can slide in, screw into all four of those. That's going to stabilize this bench, and we need some support for it. So let's get these pieces put on the top, and our frame is done. Hell yeah, let's go. All right, that's it. I am 1/32 of an inch off of square, measuring corner to corner. And the reason I got so precise on this is because I took my time prepping my material. Now, the way I installed these braces was probably not the best way. I'll be honest with you. I've been at this for 2 days solid, and I'm tired. It's hot here in Houston. I wanted it done, but I didn't sketch on precision. All of my pieces here are flush with my top. They are spaced evenly, glued and screwed nice and secure. Take your time prepping your material, your length, your width, and your thickness. If you take your time with that and make sure everything is cut precisely, your buildup should be fairly square, if not perfectly square, when you are done in a perfect world. But yeah, we were really close today. 2 more quick things. 1, like, subscribe, please leave us a comment that helps the algorithm get us out. And then down in the description, there are a ton of links. Every single item short of the lumber that we use in any project on Newcraft Workshop is always linked below. You can pick it up yourself over at Amazon. Helps our channel out without doing anything that you're probably not doing already anyway. Facebook group is down there. Please join our Facebook group. And finally, there's a link down there to buy us a cup of coffee if you think that our channel deserves your support. So that is all I got for you this time. Video 2 is coming soon. We are going to put our tabletop on. So that's all I got. We'll catch you guys on YouTube.